What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Headed into work on this really foggy and warm November morning in Kentucky. It's like 50 degrees this morning, which is kind of crazy because it was 25 degrees last week and now it's 50. And it poured last night. Let's go to work. I forgot I got to take the trash cans back to the house. Now that I've got that done, I'm gonna actually head to work. Let's go. So I live really close to work. So what are we talking about today? I want to talk to you guys about focal lengths and the importance of picking the right focal length for what you're doing. Choosing the right focal length for what you're doing is very important. Vlogging, like me just sitting here talking to this camera, I need a little bit of context to show you where I am. If I was just right here, that's too close. It's too close. So for instance, on this GoPro, it's 24mm equivalent, which puts a lot of the background in the frame. You know I'm sitting in my car because you can see the car seat behind me, the headrest, headliner. You know this is a car. It gives you context to where I am. Different focal ranges are gonna do that just a little bit differently because they compress the background differently. Also, kind of related to that, the sensor size that you're shooting on matters for your focal length. So this GoPro, for instance, I'm not quite sure what the sensor size is. It's probably small and cropped. Actually, I know it's small and cropped. I don't know what the actual math is on it though. I do know that linear is equivalent to 24mm, according to the internet. But if you're shooting on a full frame sensor, like a Canon 5D Mark III, Mark IV, Sony a7S II, a7 III, those are all full frame sensors, which is gonna give you the exact focal distance that the lens is labeled as. So a 50mm is actually 50mm. On an APS-C sensor, you're gonna get a 1.6 crop factor. And what that means is you just have to multiply 1.6 times your focal range, and that is your actual focal range for that sensor. Put a 50mm on my Canon M50, which is a crop sensor, and it is the equivalent of 80mm. So your sensor is gonna make a little bit of difference in how each focal range compresses the background and gives you field of view. To kind of explain a little bit better and maybe give you some actual visual examples, let's head into the studio and I'll shoot some. All right, I finally made it into the studio this afternoon. It is so hot that I had to shed my hoodie and my jacket because it is just abnormally hot today. But we're in the studio and you're listening to me on my Rode Video Mic Pro? No, Video Mic. It's a Rode mic. It's a shotgun mic on top of my M50. And I've got the 22mm f2.0 lens on there. And I'm gonna go back over here and we're gonna talk focal ranges. I'm gonna switch the audio to this boom mic that you can see in the shot. Ready? There, that sounds better, doesn't it? Oh, let me make sure I'm recording it. Yeah, I'm recording, good. So I wanted to talk about focal ranges. 22mm on my Canon M50, that's the equivalent of what? 22 times 1.6. What's half of 22? 11, 35. I don't know, it's like almost 40mm. I originally thought that I was gonna film this with the FS5, but it's a Super 35. That's gonna get a little more complicated having a full frame, APS-C, Super 35. So I'm just gonna keep it to APS-C and we'll do the math from here on out was crop factor 1.6. So as you can see, 22 millimeters on the 1.6 crop factor is wide, too wide. In fact, you can see this microphone. You usually don't see the boom in the shot because that's a mistake. I'm gonna switch over to the 50 millimeter on here, which would be close to what, 75 to 80 range? So I'm gonna switch over there now. All right, now the 50 is on, and you can see that this is a lot better of a composition for this shot. You can't quite see the table, and I could fix that if I adjusted the legs of the tripod, but I did not even move the tripod from having the 22 millimeter lens on there. Just put the 50 on, and this is what you get. No longer is the boom in, just out of frame, and now I've got a seamless background and more fall off behind me where it looks like a real studio. So this is with the 50 millimeter. Now let's look at an 85. All right, so this is the Rokinon 85 millimeter cine lens. It is a T1.5, and it's a T instead of an f-stop because it's a cine lens. And I'm not gonna go into that. That's like a completely other video. But just know it's about the equivalent of 1.4. So you can tell I'm much tighter in the frame now. You can see that the background is much more blurry and there's a good fall off. You can't really tell how far back that background is. I could be 100 feet from that, or I could be 5 feet from that. You don't really have context to see where I'm at. But is this a good shot for this situation? Not really. But let's go even more extreme. I'm gonna throw a 135 on here and we'll see what it looks like. This is the Rokinon 135 Cine lens. It's a T2.2 and it is a tight lens. My head is pretty much filling the entire frame, and you can see the little bit of GoPro mic. You can barely see the viewfinder on the Sony. It's a little extreme. I'm gonna switch back to the 50 and we'll talk about all of these. All right, I'm back on the 50 millimeter, and this is pretty much how I want my composition to look most of the time when I'm doing a stand-up talking head scenario, just one person talking to the camera. I've got just enough headroom here, decent amount of space on the left and right, and good fall off on the back. I'm shooting this 50 millimeter at f1.8, and that's pretty shallow for most of the time. But I really trust the M50's autofocus. It's got the dual pixel autofocus, and it's pretty sharp. So let's talk about all these focal ranges. You can be super wide, medium, or tight. Those are pretty much the three scenarios that you'll be shooting. The super wide is great for establishing where you are, what you're doing, what's happening around you, and giving the viewer a little bit of context of what's going on. A medium shot is like where I am right now, waist up, and it shows pretty much just the person talking to the camera. It takes away anything else, any distractions, and pretty much puts the focus on the person talking to the camera. A tight shot is something that you use kind of as a cutaway from your medium to further detail your shot. If you're doing like an interview scenario and you have a medium shot, you can always cut to the tight and make it a little bit more dramatic to draw the viewer into what the person is saying, and then you can cut back and forth and also cover your edit points. But it really helps drive that story by giving somebody something different to look at besides just this medium shot. So when do I use most of these focal ranges? I'm gonna stay with the GoPro probably 90% of the time when I'm just out and about, running around, vlogging, in the shop, with the kids. It's super simple, it's wide, it captures everything. I don't have to worry about autofocus because just everything is always gonna be in focus. With that, I'm not gonna be able to get really cinematic stuff. B-roll is not gonna be an option with this thing. I could do it, it's just not gonna look as great as if I did it with the M50 and then was able to stop down my aperture to like 2.0, make it look really good. I'll be using the 50 mil as a medium shot to talk to the camera, and that's gonna be kind of here and there, maybe just when I'm explaining stuff. But I do have this other lens I wanna show you. It's back at the house. Let's go over there and check it out. Home from work, and now I am set up on the Canon 11 to 22 millimeter zoom lens on the M50 still. It's currently set at 11 millimeters f4.0. That's as wide as this aperture goes. But the whole reason why I'm home and in the office is because I wanted to show you something I got not too long ago. This is the Laowa Anyways, it's a 9mm f2.8 lens. 9mm. 9mm is stupid wide, like ridiculously wide. This is 11mm and it is really wide. I can reach out and almost touch the lens right here, just tickle it. But you can still see, I have a huge field of view in the frame. You can see a lot of my office in this shot. But let me put this on and just show you how wide this thing gets. Got the 9mm mounted, and check out how wide this frame is now. So much more in this shot. You can see all of this base. You can see more of my desk and even a little bit of my light up here, the softbox just peeking in that corner, which, let me fix that. That's better. So now we're good. This is what I'm gonna be using the most in this home office. It's a manual lens, which means it doesn't have autofocus. That's really not that big of a deal because at 2.8 and 9mm, almost everything is gonna be in focus. It is so wide that my depth of field is pretty deep, especially in this bit of space. Even though this lens is manual focus, it doesn't really bother me because here in the office, I'm never gonna be really reaching up and changing anything. I'm not gonna be going forwards and backwards a whole lot. I'm pretty much gonna be planted at the desk, talking to the camera. And I've also turned on peaking on the M50 here. I can just glance over, check my peaking, make sure my focus is good, and I don't have to worry about it. Well, I hope this cleared up focal lengths for you. You got the wide, the medium, and the tight shot. I love the wide, and I'm gonna use it a lot. It's up to you to figure out which one you like and how to implement it for your shooting. Hey, if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to grow this channel, and the more people that subscribe help me do that. Also, turn on the notifications so you know when I upload my next video. And until then, we'll see ya.